Hello, and welcome to the Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Each week, they bring you conversations with local Christian businesses and business owners. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Listen to the program on Spotify or wherever you listen to fine podcasts. The Experience Local is brought to you each week by wonderful sponsors.
Copper Rock Real Estate, commercial and residential real estate in the Mid-Willamette Valley. Contact Shelley Henderson, 503-881-7399, or online, copperrockrealty.com. Join Boson Hub in supporting CASA of Lynn County. Court-appointed special advocates for children. Learn more at lyncasa.org. Independent Merchant Brokers, innovative solutions for your payment processing needs. Learn more at independentmerchantbrokers.com or call 877-460-4747. The Arbor at Avamere Court in Kaiser provides memory care. And enjoy independent living at Avamere at Albany. Learn more online, arbor@avamerecourt.com or avamere@albany.com. Discover Oregon Real Estate, your statewide experts in luxury home sales, farm, ranch, commercial, business, and land development. Online at dore.llc or call 503-299-9070.
And now, your hosts for the Experience Local, Russ and Scott.
Ta-da! Here we are on the Experience Local, live with Russ and Scott. So great to see everybody here today. Man, I am blessed and thankful for a great weekend. How about you, Scott?
Yeah, Russ. We were just playing music with our church, and we were able to go to another community just about 20 minutes away and help them celebrate 133 years for their church. And it's only their second building. And so
that is amazing.
It's just remarkable. It was a lot of fun to be able to go and help them celebrate the 133 years of impact for Christ in their community.
Yes. Amen. That's amazing. Amazing. Well, this weekend I was so blessed with my beautiful wife to go down and see our son and daughter-in-law, Pasadena, and had a great time seeing them for just a couple days, but just such a blessing to be together, because we don't get to see them as much. And as I told you before, I was blessed, kindness goes a long ways. Yeah. I was blessed on the way back. My beautiful wife and I got a free upgrade to first class.
Well, there you go.
So thankful. Thank you to Alaska for that. That was such a blessing. But you know what? It just goes to show that when you're kind to others, they quite often will be kind to you, and they were very kind to us. So that was so great. I want to just jump in and tell everybody that I'm super excited, Scott. Coming up 1 week from today, we have release of Life Happens and Then You Choose. That's right. There it is. Life Happens and Then You Choose. My new book, Life Happens and Then You Choose. There you go. And I'm super excited that next week we have 3 live streams all about that. Oops, there we go. Let's go to this one first.
That's right.
There is the Experience Local next week at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And we're so grateful for all the sponsors, for all of this. And again, we'll be live with that. And Scott will be interviewing me on that show. Before that, I will be on Marketing with Russ, a.k.a. #Russ Selfie with Friends. Come in. You're all welcome. Open links at 8 a.m. Pacific and at 4 p.m. Pacific. We have Russ Reels live. Again, open link and people coming and going, facilitating different time zones. But super excited for all of that, Scott. And it is going to really bless people. I'm telling you, I just got my first couple copies, author copies, and it is looking good, and I'm excited.
Well, and I want to let people know that on the radio, you didn't see this image on the screen, but in each of those shows a week from today, so on November 3rd, the ebook, the e-version, the Kindle version is going to be free. And so you'll definitely want to take advantage of that. But tune in live or in replay, but definitely get onto Amazon and get Russ's book. You'll just be encouraged and inspired.
Well, it's definitely, I tell you, I'm a little biased because I wrote it, but there's people like D. Scott Smith who wrote me amazing endorsements. And if Scott likes it, then it's got to be good. I
Yeah,
have
me and Mikey,
yeah. So, and Scott, it's such a blessing. But for those people that are listening, many of you should know who Bob Goff is. On the back, if you're looking, you can see it. If you're listening, I have an amazing endorsement for Mr. Bob Goff, the author of Love Does and many other New York Times best-selling authors. And I'm telling you, Bob says life doesn't always go the way we plan, but Russ reminds us that our response can rewrite the ending. His words point us back to God, who turns detours into divine appointments. And I want to give a huge shout out and thank to Bob Goff for that. That was amazing.
We also have a great guest today. Liz Lawless is the guest here on the Experience Local Believers in Business, and she has been a great friend for years. She's an author herself. She's also a publisher. And Russ, I believe that Liz had a hand in this book as well, as Life Happens and Then You Choose.
Well, I am telling you, Liz is the instrumental part of this book. I mean, this book wouldn't have happened without Liz's help. And so, Liz, I appreciate you. We're going to bring her in just a minute, but I want to tell you, everybody, get people that know what they're doing when you're jumping into a project. Scott was a huge help. Liz was amazing. And Ever, my teammate, she was instrumental also. I'm really, let's face it, Liz and Ever did most of the hard work on the book release. I just wrote it, but this minor.
It's good to have a good team. Let's remind everybody that we're here every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 11 a.m. here at Central Time, Texas Standard Time, and you can watch live and replay. Go to our website, the local.theexperience.video. That's it, local.theexperience.video. And you can learn all about us, and including clicking on Russ's book there. That'll take you to his Amazon page. Click on Russ's name, and you'll see all of the books that he's written, including international best-selling collaborative books are there as well. And make sure you tune in next week.
Yeah, so excited about that. So remember, everybody, local.theexperience.video, now that I have the right thing up on the screen. And if you want to go directly to our YouTube page, even though you can find it there, you can go directly by going to the experience.video today and subscribing. And I'm telling you, you're going to want to do that because of our amazing guest. Speaking of which, let's get our amazing guest in.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Liz.
Hey, Russ, Scott, how are y'all today?
Well, we're doing good, and especially because we get to talk to our good friend Liz. The last time we spent time together, it was there in Dallas at the Texas Library Association. So let's get an overview. Tell us what's going on in Liz's world, and what have you got going?
What's going on? Well, we're finishing up our last couple of books. I obviously helped Russ publish, which is coming out next week. This past week, just did a book with a lovely young lady about her parents' Alzheimer's struggle and their family struggle. And so some great books coming out. A few books for Christmas with our friend Cindy, who was at the show with us. So finishing up the publishing, and then we're moving into the holidays. So basically we're trying to sell the books we got and sell the books for all our clients because in November and December, more books are sold in November and December than almost the rest of the time of the year, because a lot of times when people don't know what to get somebody, they get them a book, or they get them a gift card, or they get something that they know will inspire and motivate them or help them with a situation. So we love books, of course. And of course, that's how I got into this business in the first place. My background is books. My mother had a Christian bookstore. Luckily, I was born into the faith. I was a child of the covenant. My parents were Presbyterians. And so I've never known really a time that I didn't know the Lord. And so, but I'm on the other side of it. Instead of the retail side, I got on the publishing side.
I love that about you, Liz. This is what I love. You're such an amazing person. I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
You're such a loving and caring person, but you love the Lord and he loves you, and you see that in all that you do. And you're very passionate, and you drive me and you make me better in all that I'm doing. We've had an amazing team putting this book together. Talk a little bit about that through your journey, about how your faith has really given you the strength and the wisdom and to do all that you're doing.
Well, it's really interesting because our timing is not God's timing. When I first got into, I knew I didn't want to be in the retail business, but I always knew I wanted to write a book. And so I really kind of fell into that because I took a writing course with my mother just for fun, a creative writing course, and wrote my first children's book. And, I sent that out to 50 publishers because this was in 1988. So internet didn't exist. We didn't have all the opportunities we have today. So sent that out, 50 publishers, got 48 rejections. Man, it's like being stabbed in the heart, and you go, God, wait, somebody thought this was good enough to tell me to publish it. The instructor said, I think you should publish this. And I about fell out, because I thought, what? But anyway, you never know. And so I put it away. I said, well, this book stuff, I guess, is not for me. I jumped into entrepreneurship. I started an advertising creative services firm. We did a lot of things related to printing and, brochures and annual reports and that kind of stuff, which we used to have if you were in business. All businesses had that communication collateral. Look, 5 years in, I got a client, the African American Museum. My banker sent me over because he was on their board, and he said, hey, they need some help. Maybe you can help them. We met. I liked Dr. Robinson, the founder. For whatever reason, he liked me, even though I was a white girl, and it was the African American Museum. It was the first original African American museum in the country, in the United States. And I worked with them for over 18 years. But they said, well, they had a children's book festival with the Maine Public Library. And they said, well, you got a book, don't you? And I said, no, I got a manuscript. I didn't have a book, but God's timing. What I did have was I had a business. I'd been in business for 5 years. I had cash flow. I had an artist. I had a printer. Self-publishing was starting to become a new thing. It was becoming more and more, it was getting a little more press at that time. It was still brand new. And I said, I can do this myself, I think. And so that's what I did, not really understanding, but you had to print 2,500 copies in and keep them in the warehouse because that's the only way it got done. But to me, it was just another job in the shop. I had 5 other jobs in the shop, so I was just paying every 30 days on my print bill. Not understanding, this is a $7,000 project. I just spent $7,000 on this project, But, we're 30 years in, 35 years in, still in the publishing, have 15 books now. I probably got the last 10 or 15 of those Creative Monster books still left on the shelf here, but, either gave away or sold or handed out or something, those other 2,400 copies, because that's what happened. Went to the book signing, sold 100 copies, said, yeah, author, this is great. This is wonderful. You're holding it in your hand. You think it's fabulous. And then I woke up a couple of days later and said, what am I going to do with these other 2,400 copies?
That's just funny, Liz. I want to pursue a little bit about this with the family bookstore.
Yeah.
Your family had the Christian bookstore. Your mom had the bookstore.
Uh-huh.
So you grew up with that. You said you didn't want to go into retail. And this was before self-publishing was available.
Right.
And now self-publishing. And of course, Amazon is the big
gorilla
reseller of books.
The biggest gorilla in the
But
room.
there's a lot of other outlets.
Right.
So let's talk. I want you to talk about 2 things. One of them is how you continue to integrate your family into the business. And what are some of these other outlets that people have other than Amazon?
Well, so luckily I have a niece. My brother has 4 children, and his oldest daughter, Leslie, really helps me in the business. Like when we go to events and stuff, she helps me set up and tear down, and she's around. And she also does a lot of our database marketing, like when we're building lists and things like that. She's going out and finding those lists where there's a list of local schools, whether it's corporations, nonprofits, whatever that is. She's good with social media, so she's doing some of our posting for social media. So bringing the kids along a little bit. Yeah, my mother worked, she worked 6 days a week from 10 to 6. And then she'd come home and do the background. My job was to shelve the publishers, because back then you had a catalog with a list of the books, and somebody would come in and they'd order the book. My mother would pull the catalog. She'd look the book up. She'd call on the phone and order it, because didn't have internet. Faxes weren't even available then. We started in 1972. So, that kind of happened, but it taught me about publishers. See, I was on the retail. It taught me about the retail side of the business, the publisher side, how publishers actually work. Because that was my job, to come in on Saturday and refile alphabetically all those publishers. So I knew who all the big publishers were. I knew who all the Christian publishers were. So I could send my stuff out. Even though I'd written a Creative Monster book, I really wanted to write a devotional book. And I did that later. But yeah, so incorporating our family into that. The other platforms today, we always start with Amazon, because, as you say, the customer is going to Amazon. I don't care who you are, whether you like them or hate them or what you feel about them. If your customer is looking for a book, they're going to go to Amazon and either put your name in, or they're going to, if they remember the title, they're going to put the title in. But the other platforms are Ingram. Ingram is the biggest wholesale distributor in the world. There are educational publishers, there are Christian publishers, and you basically today you can do a quick search and find out who those people are. You can go to Google and search, and those are going to come up. If you put in Christian publishers or Christian wholesalers, those different publishers will come up, and they're in different parts of the country. There's a big Christian publisher up in the Northeast. The library publishers were the biggest one in the world. It's been there for 200 years. Baker and Taylor is shutting down. So that's astonishing to me. But what that tells me is somehow they did not integrate with the technology. Okay. Because if you've been around for 200 years and you're closing down, there was some kind of breakdown internally, which I hate, because they were. There are other educational publishers. There are a couple of library publishers, but they were one of the bigger ones. CPI is a big one. FALAD is one of the bigger companies if you're in the library or school part of the business. So there are those other platforms. There are platforms like Lulu and Smashwords and different things, and you just got to decide what you want to do. What's your ultimate goal? Those other publishers are available. Those platforms are available. They charge you a little bit more. You're not going to make maybe as much money, but there are certain reasons to do certain things with different publishers. So it really comes down to what your goal is. Is your ultimate goal to sell a large number of books? Is it to make money? Is it to do this as a career? Is it a legacy publishing? You've written a children's book that you've told your kids, and now you're telling your grandkids, and you want them to have a copy of it. Are you in business and you need a big business card?
And Liz, I want to jump in right on that point, because, you and I have talked about that. My reason for publishing this book, and really for anything that I published, is to bless and help other people. I'm not trying to make a bunch of money off the books. The whole idea is, obviously I want to pay for the books and to pay for the expenses and all that stuff, but I appreciate the opportunity that God has given me to do that. And what I love about you is that you have that same heart. You really have such a giving heart, and you really also care about what I care about. You ask me those questions, and what am I really trying to accomplish, and all of that. I think that's very, very important, because you're, I think, unique. Most people are out there just trying to make a quick buck, and that is not what you're about. So when you started this, when you started the actual publishing part, you're dealing with people that also either got rejections like you did, or don't know how to go about it, and have helped them so much. Talk a little bit about how you're able from your heart to really help people like that, and give them hope and the ability to be able to do these things.
Well, I was pretty selfish at first. I published my own stuff first, and that's why I was learning. I had one of the first Amazon stores. I had one of the first ebooks, because I was watching all of that for myself. But in 2013, I have a great friend, a doctor friend that I've grown up with. My dad was a coach. His dad actually played ball for my dad and then became a coach at the same school with my dad. His sister is my age. His older sister is my brother's age, 2 years older than us. And Kyle was 3 years older than all of us. And he got to babysit us when we went to coaching, because that was our vacation. We'd go to coach. My dad would go to a coaching meeting, and that would be the vacation. He'd take the family. We'd get to swim in the pool while Daddy was at meetings. But Kyle had to take care of us. So I've known him all my life. He's a brilliant kidney specialist. He's a doctor. He worked in the ER for 7 years, which is almost unheard of because it's so hard. It's so intense. Most people only stand a year or two. But he had gone to a vanity publisher, and they had taken him to the cleaners to the tune of about $50,000. And I got so mad about it. I said, that's unacceptable, because he came to me and said, you're the only other person I know that's published. These people want me to sign a second contract. I'm not sure they did that much for me on the first time. I've got some beautiful books, but I got 4,000 books sitting in the warehouse I'm paying for storage every month. I said, oh no. I said, well, I'd only charge you half of that. I'm just messing with him. But we went ahead and did his second book. And that's really how I got into helping other people publish, because a month later I went to a meeting just out of the blue, to a marketing meeting with a friend. And the rehab doctor, the best rehab doctor in Dallas, Texas, stood up and he talked about a book he had written and why people got better and why they didn't get better. And that was his main thing. Why did some of his patients recover and some of his other patients didn't recover? And of course, as we know, it was faith and family and commitment, determination, all those personal things and supporting things. But they got him for probably double what they got Kyle for. And so by then I was really mad about people taking advantage of people that were brilliant, that just didn't know the publishing business. So that's why I'm in it today. And that's why I've stayed in it the last, 15 years or so, since 2013. Because I know that people are out there being taken advantage of, and I don't want that,
that's always so sad. And in today's world, it's people need to know that on Amazon and also with Ingram and Lulu, it is free to upload your book.
Right.
And then it's print on demand. So you don't need to have a big garage or a storage unit or a warehouse like with the first book you published. One of the things that's changed as well is ebooks. And so there's ebooks, there's paperbacks, and there's hardbacks.
Right. And audiobooks. So audiobooks, I think, is what's coming on next. Yeah.
Yeah. And audiobooks. And actually it was a friend of mine. She's published some books. She's down in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. She said she actually makes more money off her audiobooks than she does the print books. But could you explain some of the reasons why people would publish in these different formats? Because I remember you told me that libraries don't like paperbacks. They want hardback books. So what are some of the different applications for these formats?
Well, and that's what we talked about. What's your goal? What's your ultimate goal? If you've got a children's book, well, your ultimate goal, you might want to sell to elementary schools or to public libraries, because they have these weekly, or monthly, readings with kids. And of course, at the schools, you can go out and talk to the schools and read to the kids. That's another way you can generate additional revenue and income to help pay for the production costs, because it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you, doesn't need to cost you $50,000, but you're probably going to spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000 if you do any marketing or advertising, a couple of thousand to get published, unless you can do everything yourself. But that's really difficult, because there's just a lot of moving parts, and you shouldn't do your own editing. You shouldn't do your own covers unless you're a graphic designer and you have some skill in that area. But yeah, so ebooks you make more money on because the distribution is about $1. So let's just say you got for a grin's sake, the $9.99 is what the maximum is. $2.99 to $1.99, $9.99 is what you can sell an ebook for. But it takes about $1 to distribute that, or less, maybe 50 cents, depending on the size of that book. So that means you got $7 or $8 to distribute revenue with. And if you get 70% on Amazon and they take 30, well, that's a nice thing. Sometimes you make more money on an ebook than you do on a paperback or a hardback, because you have the print cost. So the print cost on a paperback is going to be somewhere between $2 to $4, depending on the number of pages. And your hardback is going to be probably somewhere between $8 and maybe $11 or $12, depending on the number of pages. So it doesn't leave a lot of money on, because then you got to raise your retail price. And a lot of people, they want to sell at $12.99 or $14.99 or $16.99 or $19.99, because once you get over $20, people do think twice about whether to buy or not. But the problem is, then you're only making $1. We got to sell a lot of books if you're only making $1 return on your investment, And so that's what some of the struggles are. That's some of the up and down of publishing. And so you got to really decide, who do you want to sell to? You can sell to the military. You can sell to corporations. If you've got a business book or a sales book or a marketing book, you probably want to sell to corporations. And so, that's a whole different sell in and of itself. So there are a lot of ways that you can sell your books, but you got to decide up front who your audience is, who do you want to help the most, because then you got to find the platform that supports that the most. The same thing with social media. Not what you like to do. Where is your customer? If your customer is on Instagram, you need to be on Instagram. If your customer is a professional, you need to be on LinkedIn. All these platforms have certain things that they kind of lean into. And depending on what you want to do, you got to lean into that too, whether you really want to or not. If you want to be
I
successful.
agree with that 100%, Liz. And I have got to tell you that you're so good at guiding all of that. And I right now need to say that I have to be the responsible host, because the show is almost over. And because we're on radio, we got to be right on. So we are so thankful for you. I tell you, we want to give you the last 2 minutes here to tell us how people get in touch with you and what's the thing you really want people to remember, the gold nugget from today. And you got 2 minutes, go.
Yeah. Well, follow your dream. Don't let somebody else steal your dream, because somebody else is going to tell you all the reasons why you can't do something. Well, Scott and Russ and I are going to tell you that you can do this if you want to, and you can be successful, and you can make money in it. I've been in it for 30 years. So is it going to be up and down? Yes, it's going to be up and down. Are you going to have challenges? You're always going to have challenges, but you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your dream. Find somebody to help you do the things that you can't do, that you don't do well, because there are people out there that will help you and that want to help you. Most of us are just bad about asking. We just don't want to ask for help. So if you have a dream to publish, I would say do that. If you want to contact me, you can contact me at Author Liz Lawless on any platform, or Lawless Liz, sometimes on LinkedIn and Facebook. But if you just put my name in and Google search Author Liz Lawless, all my stuff's going to come up. My big thing is lizlawless.com. That's our Author Adventure e-newsletter. You can sign up there for free, or if you want to, you can go to a paid subscription, and we have a little extra benefits there. But that's on half price right now. So that price is at I think $27 for paid and $267 for the year, but that's going to double after the first of the year, just because there's a lot of information. It's our 5 secrets to publishing success. So lizlawless.com, put your email in, get on our list with us. There are over 100 articles there about writing, publishing, marketing, launching, and distribution. So go check it out. And I thank you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. You told me to be short. I can be short. What kind of nonsense is that?
Liz, thank you so much. And I'm going to tell everybody, join the group, because you can't do this alone. But thanks for joining us today on the Experience Local Believers in Business.
That's right. Liz, we're going to send you out to the green room. Hang tight for just a moment as we wrap things up. Thanks for being a blessing. Wow, I tell you, she's amazing, Scott. But you know what? I just want to do a quick reminder for everybody. Don't forget November 3rd, next Monday, the release of the Life Happens and Then You Choose. There you go. Life Happens and Then You Choose. I'm excited. Make sure and check out all the live streams, all the information we got going. Go to local.theexperience.video today for more information, and join our YouTube at theexperience.video. With that, Scott, have a blessed and amazing week, everybody, and enjoy
your local experience.
That's right.
Thank you for tuning in to The Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Listen to the program on Spotify or wherever you listen to fine podcasts. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Experience Local with Russ and Scott.